So, what if I told you there's a way to do YouTube that looks, well, kind of boring on the surface, but it's pulling in 5 figures every single month? And get this, you never have to show your face. You don't even have to use your own voice. It sounds almost too good to be true, right? Well, we're about to break down a system that turns this seemingly unspectacular content into an absolute profit machine.
And that quote right there is from the guy who systematized this whole approach, Finn Rober. The big idea here is super simple. Build a repeatable, scalable system for what he calls YouTube automation. You know, it's less about trying to be some creative genius and way more about building a really well-oiled machine.
So, how does this actually work? We're going to break it all down into 4 key parts. First up, we'll look at the foundation of everything, the 3-pillar method. Then, we'll dive into how you actually find profitable niches where you don't need to be on camera. After that, we'll see how the content machine gets built. And finally, we'll get to the really fun part, how you scale from just one channel to a full-blown empire.
Okay, at the very heart of this entire strategy is something Rober calls die 3 Säulen Methode, which is just German for the 3-pillar method. And he basically says that the success or failure of any automated channel comes down to getting these 3 things right from the get-go. So let's see what they are.
And there they are. Pillar 1, niche selection. Pillar 2, faceless content production. And Pillar 3, automation. The key here is that you can't just be good at one of these. It's about making them all work together like a perfectly tuned engine. When these 3 are humming along in sync, you've basically created a formula for success you can repeat over and over again.
All right, let's jump into that first pillar, picking your niche. And honestly, this is probably the most critical first step, because not every topic is going to work for this faceless model. The real trick is finding subjects that aren't just popular, but are also super valuable to advertisers.
And Rober is really specific about what works best. He points to these 4: celebrities, the economy, World War II, and finance. I know, it's a bit of a weird mix, right? But there's a clear logic here. All of them work perfectly with stock footage and a simple narration. But more importantly, they attract audiences that advertisers will pay top dollar to reach. And that means higher CPMs, which translates to more money in your pocket.
So let's see this in action. Theory is great, but here's a real-world example he uses, a channel called Famous Americans. The concept is incredibly simple. It just creates videos recapping famous Americans who've recently passed away. Now, look at these results. A single video, just a year in review of actors who died in 2022, pulled in a jaw-dropping 4.4 million views. And that's not just some lucky viral hit. No. This is the direct result of a very deliberate strategy.
And this is where it gets crazy. Look at these numbers. The cost to produce that viral video was about 65 euros. The profit from that one video, around 20,000 euros. I mean, that is an absolutely insane return on investment. You'd be lucky to see that in stocks or crypto, but here it's the result of a planned-out system.
So why on earth is this so effective? Well, it comes down to 2 big reasons. First, the topic is completely evergreen. There's never going to be a shortage of video ideas, right? And second, the audience is typically in that 50-plus demographic. That's a group advertisers love because they usually have more disposable income, which, you guessed it, drives those ad rates way up.
Okay, so you've got your niche. Now, how are these videos actually made if you, the channel owner, aren't really involved in the day-to-day grind? Well, that brings us to our next pillar, building the content machine through outsourcing and automation.
The secret here is a remote, freelance-based assembly line. You've got script writers who craft the story, then voiceover artists record the audio, video editors piece it all together with stock footage and graphics, and finally, thumbnail designers create that super important clickable image. And what's really interesting is that Rober says these freelancers often have no idea they're even working for the same person. It's a totally decentralized system.
And the real power of this machine is the long-term payoff. Check out this other example, a video made for just 63 euros. Over 400 days later, it's still getting hundreds of views every day and has generated over 3,600 euros in pure passive profit. Just imagine having hundreds of these little digital assets out there working for you 24/7.
And today, this whole process is getting supercharged by AI. I mean, you've got tools like ChatGPT that can spit out entire video scripts. 11 Labs can create incredibly realistic AI voiceovers. There are even tools like Pictory that can auto-edit videos from a script, and Canva, which uses AI to whip up professional thumbnails in no time. These things have just completely changed the game, lowering the cost and time it takes to make quality content.
Of course, you can't just make a video about anything.
To make sure every video is profitable, Rober uses a strict 4-point checklist as a gatekeeper. First, does the topic even work without a face? Second, can you visualize it with stock footage? Third, does it have broad international appeal? And fourth, and this one's crucial, are there affiliate marketing opportunities? You need a yes to all 4 before a video gets the green light. All right, this brings us to the final and most advanced piece of the puzzle. See, the goal isn't just to have one successful channel and call it a day. The real goal is to scale the system and build an entire portfolio of these automated channels.
And the scale we're talking about here is pretty impressive. It's not 2 or 3 channels. We're talking about running 27 of them all at the same time. This obviously multiplies your income, but it also spreads out the risk. If one channel gets dinged by an algorithm change, you've still got 26 others chugging along.
So how does he scale so effectively? With a technique he calls kanalblekke, or channel blocks. Instead of just one channel on, let's say, finance, he'll create several, each with a slightly different angle. This lets him totally dominate the niche, capture way more of the audience, and then cross-promote between his own channels. It creates this awesome feedback loop that makes all of them grow faster.
Now, we've come to what might just be the single most important insight in this whole strategy. While that YouTube AdSense money is nice and steady, it is not where the real money is made. It's just the foundation.
Just look at this income breakdown. A massive 65% of the revenue comes from affiliate marketing, not ads. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Because the channels are faceless, there's no personal brand you have to worry about diluting. This makes it super easy to promote all sorts of different products across all those different niches.
So there you have it. The system is pretty clear. Pick high-value niches that work without a face, build an automated content assembly line with freelancers and AI, and then scale it all up by creating blocks of channels that you monetize heavily with affiliate marketing. It is an absolutely undeniable model of efficiency. Which kind of leaves us with one big question to chew on. Is this kind of systematic, AI-driven content a brilliant new way to do business online? Or is it the beginning of the end for real creativity?